The Subcommittee on Joint Capital Outlay will come to order. Would the clerk please take attendance?
Chair Price.
Here.
Representative Stetlaw. Present. Brixey. O'Neill. Fury. Here. Wilson. Alexander.
Here.
Slaw. Steele. Here. Co-Chair McDonald-Riddle. Here. Senators Irwin.
Here.
McCann. McMorrow.
Here.
Camilleri.
Here.
Santana. Here. DeMoose.
Here.
Bumstead.
Here.
Heisinger.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have the floor.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody who came out today to provide testimony and to support the different institutions and projects. We know how important it is that we're making significant investments in our institutions of higher education, community college. So just very grateful for you all taking the time to come and present the great projects that you have proposed for your institutions. All right, let's see. Representative Stetlaw moves to adopt the minutes from April 12th meeting. Without objection, so ordered. The minutes are adopted. And first, we're going to hear from Daniel J. Phelan, the president of Jackson College. Please come on up and please turn on your microphone. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair Price and members of the committee. I'm so grateful to be able to have the opportunity to meet with you, but first let me say I appreciate the service that you provide to all the citizens of Michigan and in particular those institutions that are supporting students. I'm here representing Jackson College. I have served over 22 years at Jackson College as president, and that's long in the tooth by community college standards. I wanted to talk to you about higher education and our facilities at Jackson College in particular as they relate to capital outlay. I first want to give you a little bit of context. Jackson College has been around since 1928, starting off as Jackson Junior College. We have a 7-member board, and we are particularly focused, our board is particularly focused on something that we call TCS squared, a total commitment to student success. And in that effort, all of our work, the way that we expend our resources, the way we evaluate staff, the way we make determinations about facilities and curriculum is based on the best interests of our students. It's been some time since we have had capital outlay authorization, and as you might imagine, many of the buildings, not only on my campus, but others of my colleagues as well, are getting a little tired. And the first facility that I'd like to talk about is James McDivitt Hall. James McDivitt Hall was built in the 1960s, named after one of our alums, one of the many astronauts that Jackson College has had pass through its doors as a graduate. Jim McDivitt actually served on Apollo 9, and before that he was on a Gemini 4. We're very grateful for his service to our country, to the globe certainly. And we wanted to concentrate on this facility, which is particularly focused on STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. As you might imagine, the programs that take place there require significant infrastructure, chemistry, biology, botany, zoology, as well as other programs related to these areas in support area, chemistry labs and practice labs. These facilities are quite tired, and if I would have my director of facilities with you today, he would tell you that we're holding this building together by bubble gum, baling wire, and duct tape. The focus that we've had at Jackson College is to try to use capital outlay as a way to be able to address deferred maintenance. Although we have been continuing to make investments throughout the years, we're actually at a point now where we feel like any additional investments in this facility would be throwing good money after bad. You've got a copy of a packet that I provided for each of the members, thanks to the clerk, and you can see the detailed recommendation that we have made to DTMB about this facility. It was authorized in our submission in fiscal 23 for the building. We are excited about the potential for this. It represents a request of $45 million. As you know, community colleges are required to provide a 50% match for the funding necessary to be able to do this, and it is our intention to be able to provide that. Why am I talking to you about a proposal for our fiscal 23 submission? I'm doing so because we believe that project was actually going to be funded in the last cycle, the last request. We had believed that there was enough backwinds to be able to support the movement of capital outlay that we submitted a second proposal, also included in your packet. This one is for Whiting Hall. Whiting Hall is also a very old building, built in 1967 on our campus, about the same size, about 100 square feet, but of the two, we actually have a higher need for James McDivitt Hall to be taken care of. So if there is a desire on the part of this legislature to be able to move forward on capital outlay projects, we would ask that our request for fiscal 23 be advanced, because that is our highest need. It was just our judgment at that time, based on intelligence that we had, that the 23 request would go forward, and so we moved a second higher need process forward. And of course, that didn't happen. Capital outlay didn't happen in 23. So the additional proposal you have in your pack is our proposal for Whiting Hall. Again, a higher need that we have in our facilities. Again, great infrastructure needs. This building represents not particularly STEM education, but more of our manufacturing-related, business-related, also nursing and allied health programming. It also is home to Jackson Preparatory Early College, which is a public school academy which exists on our campus in partnership with Jackson College. We are in need of that facility funding as well, but insofar as that perhaps only one of these facilities would be available, again, we would prioritize around our fiscal 23 request, which is James McDivitt Hall. You will see in the documentation for both of these buildings that we've done extensive research about not only the needs for the state of Michigan in terms of providing family sustainable wages for jobs that matter for Michigan, but we've also looked at a broader network of other opportunities that are out there, influences that we didn't even contemplate not that long ago. Take, for example, AI, artificial intelligence, and how we are able to incorporate that into our curriculum, being able to provide opportunities for students to engage in VR and AR activities as we think about what curriculum could look like, what our student experience could look like. We realize that we're going to have multiple experiences with our students, that these are not one and done opportunities, but in fact students come back repeatedly to Jackson College, and we want to make sure that we have state-of-market technology in these facilities. We want to make sure that the facilities themselves are of LEED certification, that they are in fact sustainably designed and developed and constructed, and that is the work that we are intending on. So my first request for the board, for this joint committee, is first of all to say, please, we ask for your authorization of capital outlay after an extended hiatus, and secondly, for Jackson College, that you would be so kind as to allow us to be able to advance on James McDivitt Hall. Madam Chair, those conclude my remarks. There are additional documents in the packet. As I mentioned, I'm happy to respond to any questions that you or members of the committee have.
Okay, so seeing no questions, I thank you for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. All right, next we will hear from Steve Mackey, Vice President for Finance and Administration at Oakland University.
There we go. Thank you very much for inviting us today, Madam Chair. I'm here today to talk about our Science Complex project, and I wanted to start with a little bit about the Oakland students, and primarily that 86% of our graduates stay within the state of Michigan, and they're making a significant contribution to our industry and also to our economy. And the other thing about our students, you know, our undergraduates have an average starting salary well above the national average, and they start out at $55,000. So this is just a little bit about our students, and that they do stay in the state. There's a brain gain out of Oakland students. Additionally, when we get into the STEM fields, which is what we're going to be talking about today, 42% of our STEM majors are from either underrepresented minority groups or first-gen students. So it's a huge, huge demographic. That demographic is growing. It has grown 7% over the last 4 years. And like with the rest of our student population, it is shifting. We are seeing a more diverse student body coming into Oakland. And so this is very exciting because these students really do bring opportunity. They bring a different perspective to our campus. We're very excited to have them. When we look at, I'll use engineering as an example. So when our students graduate from our engineering program, virtually 100% of them stay within the state, and their starting salaries average $74,000 a year. So our STEM disciplines have real impact. They lead to real jobs. And when you think about those first-gen students, the underrepresented minority students in the STEM fields, they really do change the way in which the dynamic of the employers, and we're very proud of that fact. A little bit about our infrastructure. So Oakland has the smallest footprint per FYES. We're about 40% below the state average. So to bring us up to the middle point, we need another $1.8 million square feet to be able to bring Oakland up to the middle. We're not asking for that. We're not asking for new facilities today. We considered it, but I'll get into this in a minute. So we recently became an R2 institution. Our research facility, our research spend is about $18 million per year. And we became an R2 in 2019, which is a high research activity institution. And since 2019, our research expenses have gone up by about 50%. So we have very high research happening now that we've moved into the R2 space. Currently, our STEM-related research has now been limited by our facilities. We do not have the infrastructure to be able to support more fume hoods. We do not have the infrastructure to bring in additional electricity for the high-end equipment that we need. And so we've kind of tapped out, we're kind of capped out on campus within our STEM fields and the research associated to it. So the project I want to talk about today is for our science cluster, which is Hannah and Dodge Hall. Both of these buildings were built in the early 60s, mid-60s. If you look at the photo there on the left, the cars out front, that's how old our labs are. So that kind of gives you a little idea of what we're talking about here. All of our labs, all of our teaching space, everything was built in the 60s. It's all over 60 years old. So to build a new building, about 175,000 square feet, would be about $150 million. Obviously, we need more space, but that's not what we're asking for. We're asking for a renovation of our current space. And so when you consider the difference between the two, a $40 million project is what we're considering. The cost per square foot is $228. If we were to ask for a new building, it would be a massive, massive, massive lift. The construction at $882 per square foot, and that does not include the equipment. When you include all the equipment, it creeps up to about $1,000 a square foot. And so renovation at this point for this building really makes a lot of sense. It adds a lot of value. And you can see the impact that it's having with where our students go. So a little bit about the project. It'll be 3 floors, basically 5 floors of space that we'll be doing. We'll be updating all the mechanicals and the utility systems. As I said, we can't add fume hoods to the buildings because the air handlers can't deliver enough air to the building. So we can't expand anything that requires a fume hood safely. The electricity, as I said, is really tapped out, and we cannot add any more high-end equipment into the building like lasers and high-end microscopes and things of that nature. We're also looking at introducing a different type of class and modality with the construction that will allow all of our students in the majors that you see, but also all of our students, because they do come through these labs for their general ed courses. And so it impacts every single OU student coming through. Additionally, we'll be adding more research lab space. So we'll be capturing space that's not used for research now, and we'll be able to expand our research lab space, which will help expand our ability to have more sponsored research. And finally, we're also very concerned about our ability to accommodate people with disabilities. Currently, these labs were built in the 60s. ADA was not nearly as important as it is today, and we spend a lot of time with accommodations and trying to make sure that we're able to deliver. These renovations will help address some of those challenges as well. What you see here on the left is a picture I took 2 days ago of one of our undergrad labs. What you'll notice in this lab, there's something missing. It's gas, it's water, it's beakers, it's all of that stuff. And that's because you have to go through that little tiny door there in the back of the room to go to where all that stuff is at. So it really makes for an awkward flow for teaching and for pedagogy. The students are like moving around through class and trying to get reorganized and reset. In the new environment, these new labs, everything's right there, and you're not moving. And it also allows you to expand the lab space. So we're anticipating being able to open up our chemistry and biology undergrad courses and expand those courses by about 25% capacity, which is huge when you look at throughput, because every student in Oakland must go through these courses. A little bit about the project here. The existing labs really do have failing infrastructure. They are at the end of life. With this change, we'll have fully functional labs. Our student throughput will increase. Our cost per class is going to go down because we'll have more students per class. And also, we'll be able to open up the schedule a little bit more to remove the rate limiting scheduling that inhibits students from graduating on timely. Additionally, the faculty are working in labs that were designed for research in the 60s. And back in the 60s, what happened was a lab was set up with infrastructure. It'd have a microscope. The lab next door had a microscope. The lab next door had a microscope. There was no collaboration. In today's environment, it's all about collaboration, interdisciplinary science, and that's what the NIH, the NSF, that's what they fund. And we do not have the infrastructure to support those kind of research. So we're looking to really expand our research portfolio with this renovation. Additionally, the labs and the equipment are really outdated. So our students, as they're learning in these labs, when they go to industry, and you see we have a large placement in industry, they're walking into labs they've never even seen before. They're seeing equipment they've never seen before because everything they're exposed to is designed and built in the 60s. And so with this change, we're going to see a much better outcome for our students. They'll be better prepared. Our PhD students, we have a lot of undergrads who go directly to PhD programs. They don't go to master's degree programs. They jump straight to PhDs because of the experiential learning and the research that they get to conduct in our labs. As I mentioned earlier, right now the facility doesn't really allow for interdisciplinary research to happen because everything's chopped up. And so with this, we'll also be preparing the space and opening it up so that there can be more collaboration, shared equipment, and things of that nature, so we get more economies of scale on things. And so finally, we really do need this facility, and we really do ask for your support in this. It's going to really enhance our teaching and the learning environment for our students, and really kind of move us forward into a modern era for our researchers and our science to develop and move to the next stage. So in summary, this complex is really good value at $228 per square foot. As you can tell, it impacts every single student that goes through OU. It also impacts our ability to do federally funded and industry-funded research. We make a significant contribution to the Michigan workforce, and with this project, it's only going to make it more robust. The Grizzly graduates, they're going to be better prepared for when they go into industry. We're very proud of our students, and we owe them a better facility so that they can be better prepared. And we've really hit the ceiling in our capacity to grow in our natural sciences and our health sciences because the facility just cannot handle anything else going through it. And so the only way for us to continue to grow in our research is through this project. And finally, I think we mentioned this last time we were here, we really are in support of looking for ways to eliminate this $25 million cap, or 25% cap on projects under $50 million. These projects can bring enormous value and really make big impact, not only on the universities and our students, but also in the economy as a whole. And we really appreciate your support. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Rep. Stuckloff.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for being with us today. As a representative in Southeast Michigan, and I'm sure completely across the state as well, we are in desperate need of science field graduates. I see that you have a 25% increase in capacity. What is that equivalent of possibly graduates, number of graduates?
So it's increasing the capacity within two of the in the teaching labs. But number of graduates isn't really being limited by that. It's the time to degree that's going to get pulled in. So it's going to be less time to degree, which means less student debt,
Yeah.
which means they get into the workforce faster and their lifetime earnings are higher and things of that nature. So it really kind of compresses their 4-year schedule because they don't get choked into these classes that become single thread classes in their schedules. So I'm not sure if that answers your question or not in a roundabout way. But for our
Looking for body number.
you're looking for a body number.
I don't need a number, just,
So the body number, I would say,
So weird.
it can increase us probably, oh my goodness. It's hard to say because there's so many different disciplines that go through this. So that's the problem with these undergrad labs. And I apologize, I can't really put a finger on that number for you. I should have thought about that.
It's okay.
You pop quizzed me and caught me.
You have my number.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks,
Sorry.
Chair.
I'm going to take privilege, sorry, I will get back to you, Rep. Steele, and just ask a follow-up question. I know many of our institutions of higher ed here in Michigan are struggling with enrollment, and I'm wondering if you could speak about how this project would help with recruitment, retention, and enrollment for Oakland University.
Yeah, so it does a couple of things for us from an enrollment perspective. Like I said, it removes those barriers to graduation. It's going to help open that up. But where it really, really helps us a lot is in the type of research our undergrads get to do. In most larger institutions, the undergrad experience when they go into work in a lab, that hands-on experience is more about lab safety, running the equipment, the autoclaves, the dishwashers, things of that nature, dealing with inventory. It's a lot more clerical in nature because they have grad students, they have other people doing the actual experiments. At Oakland, and our real advantage with it is our size. We're just right at that sweet spot where we're doing really good research experiments in our labs. So the undergrads are coming into our labs and they're actually getting hands-on experience to run real experiments, real documentation. That goes into their portfolios, and it really does lead to these jobs. So we have, two of the largest chemical companies in the world here, and our chemistry students walk out the door and go to work for them. Our engineering students go out the door and they go to work for the auto industry, the energy industries. They go straight to work in these places, and it's because of these lab experiences, they actually know how to do things. And so it's this combination of co-curricular things, and then we also have internships for them. So when you tie all this together, it really makes Oakland a very exciting place. And this is why so many of our students stay in the state. It's because the students who come here, they know they can get great education, they can get great jobs walking out the door. And that has really helped. I mean, over the last 2 years, our freshman cohorts have actually stabilized, and we're over exceeding target on our enrollment, on our freshman enrollment courses. We have larger senior classes leaving, but that's to be expected, and that goes away. So.
Thank you. Rep. Steele.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Oakland University, for coming today. I'm a little biased because I am in Auburn Hills, and half of Oakland University is in my district. And I'm always thankful that so many people stay in Michigan, because right now we're having our brain drain, and we talk about job creation, and we should be talking about worker creation, so I appreciate that. They had asked a couple questions that you have already answered, but my two questions would be, tuition, does it change the tuition model at all to pay for your side of the portion of this building? And if you could speak a little bit more about some of the internships. Auburn Hills is a huge manufacturing, STEM, robotics industry there, and how you might be integrating with some of the businesses in internship programs. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Let me speak to the internships first, so I can think about the first question. So we have an office of basically in student affairs that's what they do. They coordinate internships, and We have, I want to say it's about 60% of our students go through internships right now. The president has an initiative to try and push that to 100%. And we're spending a lot of energy trying to find enough companies to be able to do that. You know, Oakland County has about 1,000 companies in it to accommodate 16,000 students over a 4-year period. That's a lot of internships. I mean, we are doing a lot of internships now, but to get it to, 1,600 a year with 1,000 companies, that's a big delta. But we are committed to it, and we're looking for ways to close that gap. And I'm sorry, I don't recall. Oh, yeah, and so with regards to the 25% match, it puts pressure on us from whether we debt service or whether we self-fund it. Either way, it puts pressure on us, but it doesn't put, it's about $500,000 a year for us over a 30-year period for the facility, a little bit less probably. What we see in productivity, what we see in research productivity, and indirect cost recovery off the grant portfolios. I mean, we're anticipating a significant increase in the research funding, and that more than offsets the additional burden that we would be carrying on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we will hear from Dr. Rose Blanca, president of Washtenaw Community College.
Price, McDonald's of it, Vice Chair Stefan, Alexander, and all the members who joined the Capital Outlay Committee. I'd also like to recognize Melissa, who is a member who represents as well as Representative Jason Morgan, who was a teacher, and also represents Harvard. And what I'm here to talk to you about this morning, and I know this is a public meeting, but if you could just spend a minute and talk about this.
Dr. Blanca, can you make sure your mic is on?
Is it on? Red button. Press the button.
Yes, please.
There you go. Okay, so did you do that on purpose? No, but what I'm here to talk about today is a vision. It's more than a building, it's a vision. If you could just spend a minute with me. Have you ever been to a place where you think you know where you're going, but you're absolutely bewildered, and you have no idea what to do next? Have you ever been somewhere where maybe you're just not tall enough, short enough, smart enough, right enough? Have you ever been there? Have you? Yeah, it's exactly like a college campus, quite frankly. And those are the students that we serve. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, is creating a place where what we'd like to do is take our Center for Student Success and change it to a Center for Success, and create an ecosystem, a complete ecosystem, where employers, where students, where mental health experts, where entrepreneurs, where everyone has an opportunity to come to one location. One location. It's a $23 million project, but it's our student center that we'd like to change to meet those needs. In this center, in this eco-center, our philosophy is that we'd like to prepare our students, well, first of all, for college, but more importantly, for the workforce that's needed. So that's why we're welcoming our employers to meet there, to join us, because employer engagement opportunities are critical, not only for our students, but also for themselves. Our connections for our students, the unemployed or underemployed students, internships, job placements, anything like that will be handled at this center. We also would expand our entrepreneurship center. Right now, we have an entrepreneurship center. 60 businesses we've started from this entrepreneurship center. It's outgrown its location. We have a beautiful college, but we have to find places for these things. So the entrepreneurship center is in the facilities building, okay? We have a small business development center. That center is in a different building. So you can imagine how people have to walk around. Also the mental health barriers. These barriers are for everyone, not only for students, but we find workers have the same thing, same barriers that they encounter. So we'd like to put all our mental health, all our student support services, everything that has to do with mental health support in this building. And also, our building, of course, just like all our buildings, we will have a commitment to design it to have clean energy and environmental sustainability. So we have a 285-acre campus, and we do our very best to make sure that we can provide our employers, our students, our community members, we're committed to all of them, with the services that they need. Our enrollment has barely, it is actually, we've maintained our enrollment during this crisis of declining enrollment. And the reason for that is because we have designed our courses and we have designed our services to meet the employer demand, as also to meet our student demands. There's 180,000 jobs available right now, right, in Michigan. There's a talent pool that has to be filled. We're hoping that this building, our plan is that this building is a place that an employer can walk into, like everybody's gonna know, where do you go? Center for Success. The employer can walk in there, know exactly where to go to get help, either to retrain their staff or to get training on their, or to provide training for themselves. But that employer will exactly know where to go for their services and also to get help. When we talk about students today, I just would like to, this is a community college. Well, I don't know what you see when I talk to people about community colleges. This room, we're all students now. Learning hasn't stopped because of our age or because of our degree or for any reason. But you walk on a college campus right now. You figure out where to go and how to get that training. And you know what? If you're an underrepresented person, and if you've never had the opportunity to go to a college of any sort, or if you just don't have that confidence, or maybe you're that manufacturing company, that manufacturer that needs that work, but maybe he's never even gone to college. He just happens to be a very successful entrepreneur that needs help. Where would you go? Where would you go? So our goal is to provide all of those services in that building. In addition, we would like to have instruction in that building, and we want it to be state-of-the-art technological instruction that is streamlined and fitted specifically to meet that employer's needs and that student's learning needs. And it would be a combination of both on-ground, mixed mode, and online. At our college, when you think about what we're looking at, as you know, it could be the single mom who's coming back to school, wants a better life for her family, the 18-year-old, the disabled individual who wants to find work that's right for them. It's about the veteran. The Veterans Center would also be housed here. It's an individual with a degree. Do you know 11% of our students already have a degree? They already have a graduate degree. 11% coming back for retraining in areas like cybersecurity. Where would they go? Where do you go? You need one place to know that's where it is. It's also about, again, that employer, and it's about the person who has a dream to start a business, a dream to build their community. It's about that person. So that is exactly what we're looking at. More than 30% of our students represent a minority group, which is higher than the overall minority rate of Washtenaw County. A third of our students are the first in their families to attend college, and 15% of our students are single parents, veterans, and active military personnel. We have many students with disabilities, and we also serve international students. 42% of our students are of adult age. So I welcome you to step foot on a campus. We try our best, but with 285 acres and with all these services, which we do offer, we're really great. So if you ever want to come visit us, but with all these services, which we do offer, where is that point that you can walk in? I need to see a counselor. I have a mental health issue. I'm an employer. I need to have some training. I am someone who's looking to reskill. I'm a mom. I haven't been in the workforce forever. And maybe I didn't think I was smart enough to even go to school. Here I am. Oh my God. I mean, how many people do we send away? And yet we talk about persistence. We talk about retention. I wonder how many walk away before they even walk in that door. So that's what this is about. It's about a center not for student success. It's a center for success, for the economic prosperity of our region, of our community, to raise the lifestyle and the wages of the people that work there, and to help people accomplish their degrees. That's really all of it in a nutshell. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions, but it's a very dynamic, we have a vision of a very dynamic place. So it's a $23 million project. We'd be more than happy to spend 11.5 to make this dream come true for so many people. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Irwin.
Thank you, Chair Price. I just want to take the opportunity to thank you again, Dr. Blanca, for all the work you're doing there. Washtenaw Community College is such an important part of the Washtenaw County community, and I think you did a great job of telling us about, how this student center for success would be a big improvement to your front door and to some of the entrepreneurial activities you're doing. And I know you're doing a lot of new things in cybersecurity and automated vehicles and all sorts of exciting things because I've had the chance to go out there. But I just wanted to invite you just to talk a little bit about some of the long-standing partnerships Washtenaw Community College has had with trades here in our state. I know that there's been a really long partnership with UA and with a number of other trades organizations. So I think folks hear a lot about some of the exciting things you're doing that are new with technology, but could you talk about some of these long-standing partnerships that place Washtenaw a critical part of feeding the pipeline of trades workers?
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Senator Irwin. Washtenaw Community College has a partnership with the United Association of Plumbers, Pipe Fitters, and Sprinkler Fitters. The membership is over 60,000 members. We have the international partnership. We work with them for the United States, Canada, Australia, and Ireland. We offer the Train the Trainer program, and it is offered throughout the year through online courses. We also have a Great Lakes building on our campus for the training. The training is offered all year. They do come once a year on campus, and 2,000 of them converge on our campus in the summer. That's not all. We also do the national training for the ironworkers, International Brotherhood of Ironworkers. We do that for the entire country, and we work with them the same way. And they too converge upon our campus once a year. There's 600 of them that come once a year. Because we are known for our training since over the last 10 years, we've been able to add the roofers, the cement masons, the bricklayers, I think electrical workers. I mean, we align ourselves, we're the training partner with all the unions. And we're very proud to do that. So what we do is we train the trainer. And the trainer is the person that goes back to the local and trains the union members at that local on that skill set. So, and just one more thing I could just add, it brings $20 million into our community every year, because they stay in our hotels, they eat in our restaurants, and they become our partners. So thank you for asking that question.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Our final presentation today is from Fred Scheible, Associate VP of Government Affairs at Western Michigan University.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. As the person standing between you and your evening plans, I promise I've only got about a half-hour comprehensive analysis of our entire capital outlay over the last 120 years. I'm just kidding. But no, as you mentioned, Madam Chair, I'm Fred Scheible. I'm the Assistant VP of Government Relations for Western Michigan University. I want to thank you and the committee for having us here today. It's a little bit of a point of pride for myself as a Bronco alumni. I graduated in 2005 from Western and then began my career here in the Michigan Legislature in various staff roles over the last 14 years, and then worked for the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs for a few years, and now have been at Western for just about a year this May. So it's full circle and very exciting to be here today advocating for this renovation project of Knaus Hall, which is our largest lecture hall on campus. Before I get into those specifics, so I do want to just give a little bit of a high-level overview of some of the points of pride at Western Michigan University for those of you who may not be familiar with our institution. We are located in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and we truly do serve the entire region of West Michigan. A lot of people like to think of that area as Southwest Michigan, but we extend up into Grand Rapids, over into Battle Creek, and really serve as a regional economic driver for the entire 94 or 131 corridor in that portion of the state. And we're proud to be that, to play that role in the community. We are a research-intensive university, ranked R2 by Carnegie, which Oakland mentioned they also have the same research classification. That means we are doing the research and the faculty-led research and bringing those dollars back to campus, both from private and federal sources, in engineering, education, aviation, you name it. We are doing the research and the work that is helping advance those goals of the economy and growing those workforce needs of the state. As I mentioned, also we have the #2 aviation college in the nation. It's a point of pride for us. We have a fully comprehensive aviation flight science program that includes both the flight science, the engineering mechanics side of it, the house, as well as the business administration. So it's a well-rounded aviation campus that's located out in Battle Creek at the airport there. And then that's one of the projects that we'll mention has been one of our past capital outlay projects. Another point of pride for us is a recent designation that we received from Heterodox Academy, which you may be familiar with. We're the only Michigan institution who was in the first cohort of their campus community network for viewpoint diversity, open inquiry, and constructive disagreement. This was an initiative that we started a couple of years ago called We Talk, and it's an opportunity for students from all different backgrounds, viewpoints, to come together and learn how to have constructive dialogue and have differences and learn how to work through those differences, respecting different opinions and different backgrounds. So really, it's that instilling in our students and our faculty and our community that Western is a place that's open to all viewpoints and respects that viewpoint diversity as part of the academic challenge that we have. We also have 6 graduate programs that are ranked in the top 100 in the nation. So it gives you a good snapshot. 93% of our graduates are working in or continuing their education upon graduation, and 9 of 10 Broncos are employed quickly, working in fields and jobs that they like. Now jumping into the capital outlay discussion. So when you look at the overall recent history for Western's capital outlay, 2 projects stand out, and that is our Aviation Education Center, which was completed in March of 2021. That greatly expanded the capabilities and capacities of our aviation college. If you've not had a chance to tour it, please let me know, and we'd love to host you out there. It really is a comprehensive facility. Something as simple as fresh food options for the students when they were out there, because it is a satellite campus. Before this renovation, there was no campus cafe for those aviation students. They have vending machines. That just something as basic as that, we were able to meet those needs of the students, as well as all the academic and the flight science simulators and things like that that are encompassed in this new education center. So we were very excited to open that in March of 21. And then currently under construction right now, slated to be finished in 2024, is Dunbar Hall. Dunbar is one of our largest classroom buildings on campus, and it is actually part of the same educational complex, instructional complex, as Knaus Hall, which we're going to talk about as our top priority request. I do want to pause for a moment, though, in appreciation for the state's investment in the state capital outlay projects. During the last decade, though, Western has had to invest its own money because the state was not able to or didn't prioritize funding of capital projects, or certain projects weren't eligible, like residential halls or other non-academic spaces. Western has invested over $382 million into our campus buildings and capital projects over the last decade. So those are dollars that are infused right into our local economy and represents the economic role that our institution plays in the region. Those are supporting local skilled trade jobs, ensuring that our campus is meeting the needs of our students in the 21st century. And it was brought up earlier from, I believe, Representative Steele about enrollment and attracting new students. One of the biggest criticisms that we received, or feedbacks, I would say, from prospective students prior to some of these investments was our campus felt old. It was the last time there was major investments made was during our peak enrollment surge in the late 60s and through the 70s. Those buildings serve us well, and they continue to serve us, as we'll talk about Knaus Hall, which was built in 1971. But they don't meet the expectations of the students nowadays. And so it's exciting to see the amount of effort and investment the university has made, especially in regard to our residence halls and our dining facilities for students, and really ensuring that they're meeting all of the needs. Accessibility is very important for us on our campus. Western, if you've not been there, or Senator McCann can speak to this, we have a very hilly campus that is not necessarily always accessible for individuals with mobility concerns, and there was a lot of stairs on campus. Something as simple as that individuals who don't have those mobility issues take for granted, we had to address and realize how to make our campus more open and accessible for those individuals with mobility concerns, and that's been a big area of focus as well. As well as sustainability. A huge priority of our university is increasing the sustainability, addressing the issues that are facing our environment is an important priority for our students, our faculty, and our community. And Western is looking to lead on those issues with these new construction projects, making sure they're LEED certified. We've actually been able to reduce need for investment in our STEAM network and infrastructure by removing those old, outdated, antiquated buildings that are just really energy hogs, and getting them off of our portfolio with these new energy efficient buildings. And then also just a quick note, in addition to that $382 million, the university has spent $35 million of university resources over the last 7 years just on deferred maintenance. And so we were excited to see in the governor's budget recommendation the item funding, which will help get after even more deferred maintenance and backlogs that we have on campus, if that's hopefully something the legislature includes in the final budget that goes before her for her signature. Now to Knaus, which you're probably going to ask, well, Fred, isn't it NOS? Well, it depends on who you ask. There's a little bit of a split agreement on campus whether it's Knaus or NOS. I was always taught Knaus, so I will refer to it as that, but you may hear some people refer to it as Knaus Hall as well. It was built in 1971 as part of a 3-building complex. The picture on the far right of the aerial shot kind of gives you a sense. The building up in the upper left corner with the black roof, that's Knaus Hall. Dunbar is at the lower portion of the building of the photo. That's the one that's currently under renovation right now. And then Friedman Hall is next to that, and those are faculty offices. So they're all interconnected. They're actually named after 3 professors at the university who were good friends, and that the family donated money as a legacy for them. And one of the conditions of the construction project was that the buildings needed to be connected to show the friendship and the interconnectedness of those three professors who had been pivotal faculty members at the university. So it's the largest lecture hall complex on our campus. 40% of our lecture hall space is located there. That has a 200-plus seat capacity. So literally every academic college has courses that touch on this. So whether the student is having direct degree work courses there or their general education, more than likely every student that attends Western will pass through Knaus Hall at one point or another. In addition to the academic purposes, we have seen an increasing demand for public gathering spaces on campus as well too, because we have been shrinking our campus footprint. Some of the meeting spaces that have been previously used are no longer available, and so it increases the demand on those off academic times as well, to the point that this year so far we've had 2,400 students attend different non-academic community-based events at Knaus Hall as well. While it's a great building, built solidly, it is not up to the standards of the 21st century. It's an auditorium-style seating, so from an accessibility perspective, it presents some very significant challenges to students who have those mobility issues. As part of the renovation process, it will require us to also do an addition to the building to make up for some of the lost space that we will have as we make those accommodations. So in order to continue to meet our needs for the lecture hall space, there'll be additional new space added onto this as well as part of the renovation proposal. So that's the high-level overview of that. The picture on the bottom is a visualization of the Dunbar renovation that's underway right now too, so it kind of gives you a sense of the design styles that we'll be going for with the new Knaus Hall renovation. And then just to close out, and then I'll welcome any questions, you know, one of the things as a former policy staffer I always like to provide as kind of food for thought is, you know, looking forward. Public universities like Western that are 100+ years old, we're actually in our 120th year this year. We were founded in 1903 as a teacher training institution and have grown over those 120 years to the research intensive university that we are today. We have old campuses and old infrastructures that the state at various points has contributed and helped with, and then at other points we know over the last 20 years has divested in. We've gone from a structure where the state provided, you know, upwards and over 60 to 70% of our funding, and then the rest was student tuition. That's now been flipped. And so, you know, the burden really is on the students now from a finance perspective because of that divestment. And so we are in need of additional investment. That's why we appreciate your consideration today. More needs to be done to provide predictability and certainty as it relates to capital outlay. One of the biggest challenges that we have is while there is statute that governs the capital outlay process, it's very rarely followed. And so with respect, it's certainly the prerogative of the legislature to have its influence on it, but from our predictability and planning purposes, not knowing in any given year whether or not projects will be taken up, whether or not there'll be funding, it doesn't provide us that certainty that we need to plan to meet the needs of our students, faculty, and staff on campus. And then finally, you know, and I'm preaching to the choir with this committee because I know I think everybody agrees with this concept, but investing in public university infrastructure is the best way to infuse dollars into the local economies across the state. You know, we're blessed with a public university system here in Michigan with 15 public universities, 3 in the UP, Mid-Michigan, Southeast, Southwest, you know, West Side, we're everywhere. So putting those dollars to work and investing is a smart investment on behalf of the university, or on behalf of the state, to support those skilled trade jobs and improve our campuses for generations to come. So thank you. I can keep going. You guys know I can, those of you who know me. So I will stop and take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Slay. Oh, Rep Slay, sorry, Sla, thank you. Rep Sla, go ahead, I apologize.
Thank you, Chair. So just a question, not necessarily about the Knaus Hall addition or change, but related to the aviation program, because obviously we were invested in that at this point in time. What I heard you say is it's the #2 aviation college in the nation. What I don't know is how is that measured? Is that by students? Is it by number of flights? Is it by graduation? Help me out with that.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Thank you for that, Representative. So there's rankings. That statistic is pulled from an aviation trade association. I can get more details for you. I can follow up with your office on the specifics that go into that, but they look at student performance, placement, job placement, and all those types of things, pass rates on testing and things like that, that feed into that. There's also competitions that occur amongst, like flight competitions that occur amongst the schools that we've always placed in the top 3. So in the 20 years that I've been familiar with the university, we've always been somewhere in that top 3 ranking, but I can get you more specifics on what goes into making up those rankings. But to your point, I mean, the Aviation College is a prime example of a great investment that was made by the state, but we're already at that next level of needing the next investment because of the demands that are on the aviation industry. And so, looking long-term, that's going to be one of the next things that we probably come and talk with the legislature about, is to meet those needs of the workforce. But right now, Knaus, because it touches so many students and is in such need, is our top priority.
Any other questions? Yes.
Thank you.
Senator McCann, yeah.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Fred, thanks for being here today. And I too passed through those halls as a student, and I took class layout classes in Dunbar and lecture style, larger auditorium lectures in Knaus. And you can pass from one building to another completely indoors, see your professors in the middle, and then get to your next class through the walkway. So just curious, Dunbar was done in what year?
It was approved, I believe, in 18, and it'll be completed this year.
And is there a reason that, like, these, I mean, they're connected, right? So is there a reason why that's the case, that this comes now versus that one 5 years ago?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, Senator. So there's a cap that exists, and I believe one of the other institutions touched on this. There's a cap that's just kind of been established through the process over the years of that 30 million. And so by combining, we would have liked to have combined the projects, because this was originally constructed by the state as an instructional complex. It's actually known as IFA 1, I think is the official designation of it. So at the time, in the 70s, it was built as one complex. So we thought, oh, well, that'd be great to be able to renovate it as one. But unfortunately, because of that cap, combining the two projects would have blown past the cap, and then the rest would have fallen back on the university, and we just did not have the financial resources at the time to pick up the remaining costs of the project. With that said, we're doing as much as we can right now with the renovation of Dunbar to make upgrades to the shared mechanicals, but there's only so much that we can do, and then it will unfortunately then require new bids and cost escalations and everything else. So it was, in our opinion, a missed opportunity not to have it as a combined project at the time.
Thank you. Thank you for that context and some of the big picture
Thank you.
vision for capital outlay. Just grateful again for everyone who came and gave us their time and provided testimony today. Do we have any? We have everybody here, so we don't need to excuse absent members. Thank you. So there being no further business, the subcommittee will stand adjourned. Thank you.